Hi everybody, welcome back to the Moose. We're going to end up this little session here on the tablature and the standard notation. Again, I tabbed out two versions of Cripple Creek, one with one timing variation and another with another timing variation, and also with some other variations that lie within the tablature that I'll be explaining in the regular lessons. So this is what one of the tabs look like, and the notation associated with the tab as well. I just want to explain again that this, you'll see the 2-4 slide, and this is what the slide looks like in the tablature. The 2 and the 4 are connected by the arc, and they're also connected by the slanted line. So whenever you see that in the tablature, that means that there's a slide occurring. And in this measure 2, the slide is occurring from the 2nd fret to the 4th fret on the 3rd string. Okay. Now let's shoot up and look at the standard notation involved with this slide. You can see that these are 2/8 notes. Okay. Again, they're tied together, so those 2/8 notes have a half a beat. When we put two of them together, we have our 1 beat. So again, we can count this 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Now, if we look in between these two, the standard notation, in between the 2/8 notes, there's another note in between. Don't really be concerned with that, because when we do our slide, there's actually, the sound that occurs between those 2/8 notes, and that's what that middle note represents. But don't worry about that. Just be concerned with the 2/8 notes involved. Okay. And again, when we're doing our slide, the 2-4 slide, as we slide up to the 4th fret, when our finger approaches the 4th fret, we're going to be picking this 2nd string open. Okay, and you can see that there, how that looks in the tablature in the standard notation. Now let's look at measure 4. Go up to measure 4. Again, this is the measure in between between the two lines. It's our one measure with the 4 beats involved. Let's look at this 2. This is actually a pull-off from the 2 down to the open string, the open 3rd string. Now, a pull-off is going to be shown in tablature by just an arc. And we know how we know this is a pull-off. I'll explain it like this. Whenever you're going from a higher fret to a lower fret, or from a higher fret down to an open string, it's going to be a pull-off. Okay, it has to be. From a higher fret to a lower fret, or from a higher fret down to an open string, it's going to be a pull-off. Okay. Now let me see if I have any hammer-ons in here, and I'm sure I do. And I do. Okay, well, let's look at measure 13. Okay, and we can see this is measure 13. Again, all these measures have 4 beats associated with them. Now, again, this is going to be a hammer-on. Again, it's just tied together the same way as the pull-off, but we know it's a hammer-on because now we're starting from a lower fret or an open string to a higher fret. And you can see here we're starting from the open 4th to the 4th to the 2nd fret. So when we go up, it's going to be a hammer-on. If we come down, it's going to be a pull-off or a push-off, whatever one you would like to try within your playing. And you can see in this particular version that I tabbed out, measure 10 is going to have that quarter note rest. Remember, and let's just go over the rest one more time. Back to the whole note rest has 4 beats associated with it that are not going to be played. They're going to be silent. The half note has 2 beats associated with it. If you see that symbol, then it's going to be a 2-beat rest. And if you see this quarter note symbol, again, you bass fishermen, it sort of looks like a live black leech. Really good for those bass. But anyways, that's a quarter note rest. And that's going to have one beat associated with the rest of silence. And again, going back to the previous lesson, the symbol for the eighth note rest is going to have a half a beat rest associated with it. So let me just see if I have anything else here. I'm not going to be getting into much of this other in the standard musical notation right now. Again, all the measures are numbered. They're numbered in red as you look at the standard notation. Oh, in the tablature as well, I've got each measure has the chord involved with it. Okay, so this tune is in the key of G. So you see the first measure is G, and if the second measure is G, and the first measure is G, of course, too. And if you look at the third, there's no chord. So if you don't see a chord, it's going to be the previous chord associated with it. So all these measures on top are in the chord of G until we get to the fifth measure, and then you can see here we're switching chord. We're switching to a D chord in the first half of the fifth measure. And if you look now, as we get to the second half of the measure, it switches back to G. So also be conscious of that. And just be conscious of your measures. In measure 7, we're going to have a chord change to C. And then half the measure, again, the second half of the measure, we're going to have the chord change to G. So just be conscious of that as well. So, it'd be good for you to go over when you're playing this tablature to look at the standard notation as well. And again, just be conscious of the timing. And again, I'm going to be going over this in the next lessons with Cripple Creek. And again, this standard notation is there right now for the sole purpose of helping you in the timings throughout these measures. Now, later on down the road, I'm going to be explaining more about the whole process of a standard notation. Well, you'll be able to say you wanted to learn, you saw a standard notation by Jimi Hendrix, a guitar solo that you like. Well, you're going to be able to play a guitar solo by Jimi Hendrix on the banjo by reading this standard notation. But we're starting with the basics of timing first. So again, just look at the tab, and then if you're having any trouble with the timings, look above to the standard notation and count it out. And again, if any of you have any trouble at all with the standard notation or the tab, don't hesitate to private message me in the site, and we'll help you through all this if you're not quite understanding it. So we're going to get back to the banjo and start picking on Cripple Creek here, everybody. We'll see you next time right here on musicmoose.org.